Okay guys, today's video is going to be about entering into the world of John Deere and how to navigate their websites and to get the information that you need to perform advanced troubleshooting. This is in regards to bulldozers, but it can apply to just about all the different pieces of equipment that John Deere makes because they use the same format and the same methods. So it's pretty complicated, and I'm sure it keeps 99.99% of the people out because of the way they have it structured, which is very laid out, and you kind of got to know where to go. But after you figure out their methods and see how they organize stuff and put things there, they do a really good job as far as documenting and having everything that you need to be able to do it. It's just it's a lot, and you have to know how to wade through it. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Bulldozers especially present a unique challenge when it comes to the physical and the electrical side of things, because everything is just hard. It's hard to get access. Everything is behind steel. Wires go into impossibly tight little bundles that just disappear into steel, and you have no idea how they get to where they're going. And you really have to have the exact documentation. There's nothing worse than having a schematic that's kind of close, or a drawing that's kind of close, because it'll lead you down the wrong road, and it is not worth the effort. So you got to do everything you can to get the right manual for the right job. So that's what we're going to be going through today. I'm going to show you how to do that and show you how their manuals are laid out. It all starts with what they call the PIN, the part identification number, which everyone else would refer to as a VIN, for vehicle identification number. But it's the same thing. It looks like the same thing. It's this barcode, and they'll normally have them, on a plate mounted to the side of the frame somewhere on the dozer, and of course all part of their documentation. But that's the magic number that starts to open all the doors. And I'm going to go through here to show you how, starting with that number, to use the different apps and websites to get everything that you need. So to give you an overview, I'm going to show you how to do the smartphone app called Power Assist, and it's going to give you a lot of the details that you have to have. Then we're going to go over to the John Deere official tech info site, where we can enter in the PIN and get the full list of manuals associated with that piece of equipment. Then I'm going to go over to how to identify the 4 core manual types that you see repeated over and over. That's the other wild card, is that a lot of these models, even though it'll be, let's say it's a 650J, in the life of that product, split up by serial number, they had 3 separate, and the Ks as well, they had 3 separate completely independent rewrites and their own complete 4 core manual sets that go with those. So just because you have one set of manuals doesn't mean you have the right set. So it gets complicated. But anyway, you'll see as we go along. Next is we're going to be able to, when we get the correct op test manual, to be able to show you how to navigate the electrical section, and how they have the circuits electrically and mechanically laid out, and how you can trace them through the manual. A lot of these manuals are huge. They're 1,000 pages. The The ECU level manuals are up to almost 3,000. They're over 2,000 pages long, so they're really ridiculously large. So you have to absolutely know how to utilize the index and the contents of features in with the manual, so that you're able to go to where you need to go, because you're not going to be able to just scroll through these manuals. There's too much. So next we're going to identify when it comes to all the devices on the dozer that can generate diagnostic trouble codes, and how you read them, and then where you decode them at in which manual that you have, and then the appropriate remedies for those depending on what's going on. Then I'll drop a video in showing you how to read the diagnostic trouble codes on the black box in a 650H, and which are still used in the H's and the J's, and give you a sample of that. Also, if you're going to be getting into any of these at a certain point, depending on what you're trying to do, you'll need to get some adapter T cables so that you can measure the voltages and signals while the thing is hooked up, because there are a lot of things that you can't just look one way or the other. You need to see it while it's in action. So and then last but most important is recognizing your limits, and being able to know that, oh, this is way too deep and I'm not going to be able to get into this, and this needs to go to the dealer. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, especially if no one's doing nothing. You got nothing to lose. But there are a lot of electrical repairs and things that you can do that are real easy, super simple. Maybe just the sensor came off, had a bad connection, just required someone to spray some contact cleaner on it, etc., etc. And that'll save a huge amount of money and time, especially when you look at what the cost of the personnel and the gas and everything just to haul it down to the dealer, much less the bill that you're going to get from them. So it's great having someone in-house that has skills, and whether it's just you being able to hop in and read the trouble codes, if that's all you can do, well, that's great, because that can certainly help also save a large amount of money by finding out about problems before they become chronic. Now I'm going to start off with we're going to just get right into it. I'm going to kind of go through it all, and hopefully not blow you out, but it's just there's a lot, so I just want to just truck through it so people can watch and see, okay, this is where he gets this. So let's start with we have a dozer. We have identified the part identification number, the pin, and now we need to go to the power assist. So I'm over here at the Apple store, and there's also one for Google and the Android. It's the same thing. And I'm not a smartphone fan, but there is a thing on the John Deere website that says you can do what this thing does on a normal PC, and they give a link to the site, but it will not let me log in to save the day. I can't get it to work no matter what. But so that's why I went to the just went to the smartphone app, and it was super easy. It has a little barcode scanner on it on the initial screen. This is the initial screen when it comes up, and you can use the barcode scanner or just manually type in the PIN number. And then once you bring it up, it gives you a list of all the information here. So let me switch to camera, and I can show you in real time here what it looks like. So this is the one that I've brought up on my phone, and it's going to give you, and it's best probably just to do screenshots of the pages here, and to save it to your phone so you don't have to. Cause every time you enter it, it does need to contact the mothership in Waterloo to get all this information, and it takes a minute or so for it to populate the screen. So just to save you some time, but you should document this stuff. But the main thing that you're going to be needing is you're going to be needing that your engine serial number. And you're going to need the model number and the manufacturer date and this ECU level. That's going to talk about what kind of emissions package in the after treatment, and it's going to refer to you to your particular technical manual, which in this case is the CTM 12119. And these are the big boys of manuals. These are the ones that are several thousand pages long. And they got all the relevant information. I would say the ECU level is kind of like a Windows version. Everything revolves around what your ECU level is. It determines what your diagnostic trouble codes are going to translate to. It's going to determine what kind of sensors you have and what kind of wire harness and all of that stuff, because it's all tied into that. So you definitely want to know that information. It has other info on here about all the different options that were purchased when the thing was. I haven't really needed to use any of these, and I can't really find translations for it. I think that's in-house stuff. And it also has an emissions thing here, which also is not a whole lot of info for what we do. But anyway, that's the big app there that you really need on your phone. I can't find any way around it, because you really need to know that ECU level, and you really need to get confirmation of your CTM here. So, and also you don't want to get all dirty and nasty crawling up here trying to find your engine serial number plate. So once you have that engine serial number, by the way, you can get in and break down and find all the information, like the engine size, and this is the big one here, your emissions aspiration code here. This tells you what kind of where you're at on the tier stage as far as the diesel emissions, and this really dictates everything when it comes to the manuals, whether you're going to be looking at a drawing that looks nothing like the engine that's in front of you, or a drawing that every cable and every hose matches up and looks like the one that you're seeing in the picture, because that's really frustrating when you're trying to work on something and the drawing that you're looking at looks nothing like the thing in front of you, although it's supposed to be the same model. But anyway, that's the Power Assist program, and once you get that information, you can do a lot with it. The next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go over to the John Deere website and the technical info bookstore here, and this is where you get all the information on the manuals. Now, in this particular case, I've went ahead and entered in a pin up here in the serial number spot, and we're going to do a test, or a search, I should say, and it always gives you this thing of acceptance. And what it does is it talks to the mothership there and looks in its records and says, oh, these are all the official manuals that this device is supposed to have. And I want to come down here, and the first thing you want to do is go ahead and filter for English. Otherwise, you'll be looking at a whole lot of drawings. But once you filter for English here and you come down and look, so it's got 14 recommended drawings here, or I should say manuals, and it's they're all, it's kind of scattershot on like the way they do the thing here, but it's funny because some of the dozers are kind of like between two worlds, and they'll actually suggest having two separate repairs and two separate op test manuals. But anyway, this is the main screen, and like I said, this is where it's all. This is your big mother manual here, your op test, and it'll give you your component technical manual as well. It's the one over here. Here's your level 34 ECU. The one thing that it doesn't do, however, is for, I don't know why, but it won't give you the extra electrical drawings. And the electrical drawings are like in one drawing it shows you the entire electrical system, instead of in the actual manuals they show them chopped up. And I hate chopped up schematics. I like to be able to see the full schematic at once if I can at any time. So in order to get those schematics, what you have to do is you have to go back here to the original site here, come into test manuals, and we're going to do a search. We'll go English, and it did this long thing, and then we'll come in here and find crawler dozers. Now once we've got those selected in our thing, we'll come over here and we'll go electrical system schematic. And come up and take out the test manuals. So the only thing left are crawler dozers, electrical system schematic, English. And we'll come down here and you'll notice that we got 47 results. And I'm sorry, I know no other way that does this that doesn't possibly eliminate something, but I literally just went through each one of these looking for something that applies to me. And I found them. I finally found like this would be an example of like, oh hey, we have an 850K and its serial number happens to fit in between these two. So this is me. So and if I didn't get this drawing here, as well as this one and the next one, I would have the chopped up drawings in the regular op and test manual. So yes, this is I really recommend you getting these because and I'll show you in a second why. But this would be the other place that you can get the final last drawing numbers that are associated with your piece of equipment. Now, once you get your drawings, and I'm going to go ahead and let's just go ahead and launch into that. I'm going to start by giving you I'm going to go through a real world example. This has just happened to me not too long ago. We had a 650J, and the symptom was one of the cooling fans on the air conditioner wasn't working. The other one was. There's two of them in the back there, and they always come on together. And sure enough, one had 12 volts coming on the red wire, and the other one had no volts coming on the red wire. So, and these, like I said earlier, these wires, the way they go into these harnesses is that you'll see a wire going into the connector, and then it'll seemingly going to a hole drilled into the steel, and it just disappears, and there's no way to physically trace it or get on the other side or tug or do anything like that. And you really are a slave to having the manual. So here is the and I wanted to show it to you in its full shrunken thing so you can see how big the drawing is. It's several pages long, but they're really super simple, and they're divided into different sections. So when I got approached with this job, the first thing I did was I came in and I pulled up the manual here, and I said, well, let me see what's going on. So I pulled it up, and I came down here, and you can see there's categories. This is battery ignition, and I'm starting at the left here, and I'm just scrolling past, and I'm looking at the different circuits, and as you come across, all of a sudden, hey, SE12 air conditioning circuit. So like, hey, this is my world. This is where I need to be. And sure enough, I look, and here are my two fans, and I see that both fans, each fan has its own fuse going back, and they're powered by a common AC relay. So I'm like, hey, has anyone checked the fuse over here? And of course, that's what it was. It was just a blown fuse from when the fan motor initially seized up and popped it. So when they put the new fan in there, they just needed to have the fuse replaced, and that was all good. This is kind of an example when you look and you see where it says M4, and then see the fan, and then you see the fuse over here, and you see right in the middle here, let me blow it up a little bit more, where it says P17 red. Okay, well, what this doesn't relate is that this goes from one top of the dozer clear across the entire dozer, the length of it, and down to the fuse panel here. And what looks like a simple little wire here would be a nightmare of steel, and I'll show you in a second how this actually translates into physical reality. So and there are a lot of things like this to where you'll just see on a schematic a short little bump that actually represents a very long wire or series of wires. And this is a good example, and I wanted to show you in this circuit just to show you how complex this can be and how impossible it would be to reverse engineer. Is that if I came to troubleshoot this circuit, and let's say both fans didn't come on, and I got back here, and sure enough, neither of the fans' fuses had voltage on it when I turned the switch on, and then I would say, oh, they're powered by a common relay. And even if I knew that and came over here and I was able to fake out the relay, pull it out, and short these two terminals here, 30 and 87, and get the fans going, it's like, oh, okay, I can manually get it going. If you look at this relay here and look at the control, it originates from the on-off switch, but it goes through three separate little interrupter switches: the freeze switch, the high pressure switch, and the low pressure switch. Any one of these three switches can cause the relay not to work. It can say, no, I'm not happy, so I'm interrupting this process and not allowing it to start. So, and what we see in line here with these little legs here is a mechanical, like spaghetti mess here, as far as how these wires actually go from one part of the engine to another part to another thing, and as far as the physical realities of this. So it looks very simple here, but the reality of it was very complex. And if you didn't have this drawing and a way to break these down into their individual trips, there's no way you'd be able to reverse engineer and find out, well, this relay's not working because of you would not even know this high pressure switch existed. So just a good example of like, it's one thing to do low hanging fruit, like a light is out and you replace it with a new bulb and it comes on. Yeah, anyone can do that. That's not what this is all about. This is about where you're presented with a problem and it's like, I need a drawing or I'm not going to be able to do anything with this. So back to this, and I just wanted to show you real quick how you would navigate this in the more complex main manual. So if I came over here to my op and test, and I'm starting off up here with the contents to show you. It's kind of cool because when they came out with the 650Hs, Their manuals were done the same exact way, and they established a pattern of like how they were going to put their manuals in sections, in which each section covered, and the subsections, and they stuck to it all the way up to the 850Ls. They have the same exact thing, and once you realize that and you know how John Deere has their stuff laid out, it's easy to go in and then quickly go to the sections that you need to go to and learn how to avoid all these hundreds and hundreds of pages of stuff that's got nothing to do with you. So in our world, in the electrical world, we're going to be hanging out here at section 9015. And to show you how I would tackle this, if it wasn't, if after this, the initial drawing here, if I had no power here, and I came back here and I said, oh, I'm going to have to start from here and figure it out, or I did have power here and it wasn't making it to here, that's like the big nightmare of like, well, how do you get from the fuse up to the fan? And let me show you how you navigate that. So I would start off by coming over to the electrical section here, and they have it, and make sure you use your contents, because there's no way you're going to be able to do this without it. And I'll come down here until I find my AC harness wiring diagram, and I click on it just to get a reality, and I'm looking over here at this thing, and I'm like, okay, there's my M4, there's my motor, here's my red wire, and I see it goes on a thing here, and goes to connector X12, but I'm not really sure where X12 goes. So I know I know it goes back to the fuse panel, but I don't know exactly how. So if I'm looking to figure out, well, I need to go further down this diagram. I've troubleshot all the way up to here, and I'm good up to X12, and so I need to go to the right here. What I can do is all of these connectors, they have a master thing up here to where you can click and you can find the one you're looking for. So I'm looking for this X12, and I come up here and I see, oh, X12, here it is. It's a cab canopy harness to AC harness connector, W5 and W8. So I'm like, oh, okay, W5, that's the, so I'm going, W8's to AC, so I'm hopping onto the cab harness to make it back. So if I come down here and I'll find my cab harness, and I click on it, if you look over here, this is where the AC stuff would come up, and here's my X12, and I can say, oh, I see, and this is the main cable harness that does all these crazy splits, and it's showing you physically. This is like the mother drawing here. I really love this one, and they do this in all their stuff. They show you mechanically where this thing is at and give you a visual. So I'm up here at X12, and I'm going to ride this harness all the way down to the fuse block. So if I want to look at how I'm going to do that with the particulars, and come down here and I'll look, and let me get out of here, and let me blow this up so you can see what's going on. I'm going to start over here at my fuse, my F8 and my P17, and that wire is going to come out, and it's going into my main harness group here. And I can tell you on this one here, it's a big one. It's so big that it had to be continued on a second page, which is, here's the continuance here, but this is the first split. And if I go down and look, I'll see, oh no, my X12 is not on this, which means it's on page 2. So let me scroll down to page 2, and here we go. and here's where we left off, and here we're coming in on one, and here's my X12 branched off here, and here's my pin out for my X12, including my P17 power wire, which is going to the fan. So this is just giving you the mechanical representation of how this cable harness is laid out. So they really do a good job, or a great job actually, of showing you how these things are done, and you just gotta take the time to go through and get them all matched up. All right, the next thing I want to go over is the diagnostic trouble codes. Now, depending on which model you have, those are done very differently. Now, starting with the 650Hs, they had a thing called a black box, which is a transmission control unit, and this black box, it's located here underneath the little the left-hand side of the cab, and there's a little window that you can look through. And this black box is here, and it's got a little red LED readout here. And there's a little program that you come in here to select the menu, and then you can scroll through and record down whatever codes it's tripping and how many occurrences it has. And there's a way of clearing it out. And there's also a translation table here to show you what they mean. Now, on the front of the dash, there's actually a check codes light that'll come on, but that will only come on for a certain level of codes. There's other codes that it won't trip this light, but it'll just log on. And this whole system requires you to periodically go in, check the codes, log them, clear them out, then go back and look and see if the codes are resetting again. And this is going to be like your canary in the coal mine to let you know, hey, I got my tracks are mistracking. So, and it's occurring, 20 times, and and that gives you a heads up to, well, I got a problem. Well, need to take care of it before I got broke down. Now, when it comes to the J's, we've increased the amount of intelligence in that we now have 3 intelligent devices, the black box TCU, and now there's an additional engine control unit and MDU, a monitor display unit, which is that runs the dashboard electronics. So each one of these has the ability to produce codes, and it's a dual system where you need to still go into the back and check the black box manually, and you also need to check the codes on the front panel as well. And they have once again the check service code. And it appears on this version of the 630, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but it's like this light is only controlled by the TCU. The ECU will not trigger this light. I guess they're just relying on it to give you its full-blown glory here. But anyway, that's with the J. Now when it comes to the K, that's gone completely tied in with all at one spot. They no longer have a TCU. It's a VCU for vehicle control unit, and it reports along with all the other ones through the monitor display unit, it's you no longer have to manually go and check this other mystery box in the back. It's all done right from the dash. Now the particular codes that these give you, the ECU especially, these are going to be completely dependent on your ECU level, and you really want to make sure that you check on that manual for the codes and not the op and test, which is kind of like your basic plain Jane when the thing first came out of the factory. The CTM, the ECU level CTM, has the priority as far as which codes mean what, because that's the actual brain there, and it's giving you, direct from the brain what its things are, and I'm sure it's got their own flavor. So make sure that you refer to that manual when you look up your diagnostic trouble codes. Now, after you get your codes, and like I said, you're able to either clear them or not, or they repeat. That's going to be up to you as far as, do you pursue it further, or do you go ahead and send it to the dealer, or how you do that. But it's important that no matter what, you do track these and keep them logged and archived, so you can keep track of creeping failures. I'm going to go ahead and just finish this off now, and just following this, I'm going to show a video of how to actually check the black box and NH. So I'll be doing other follow-up videos on this, but this was just to kind of give you an introduction of how to get into the John Deere world, and then how to find the correct documents once you're there. So stand by for the video, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, we're out here at a 650H, and we're going to check the diagnostic trouble codes logged onto the black box in the back. So we'll start off by turning the accessory on here, and then we're going to come back over here. I've already removed the plastic cover that covers this, just for ease, but it's just a few screws that hold it in here. So anyway, you take the cover off, and when you first come up to it, it shows park, your status of your transmission. So what we want to do is we want to hit the menu button over here until it says codes. And so we hit the menu, and one time it says code, and then we're going to hit select, and it's going to show us our first code, which in this case is F3L3. And when we hit select again, it's going to show us how many times that code has come up. In this case, it's 27 times. So then we'll do next to get the next code. And once again, that's F321. And I'm writing this down on a notepad to keep track of it. And then when we hit select, and it's going to once again show us the number of occurrences, 24. And we would do this all the way to the end. I'm just going to hit next here and go and show you all the codes in here. And I would log them down till I got to the end. And what you would normally do after you've logged all these down and have a copy of the occurrences, you would go ahead and hold the select button down here for 5 seconds until it displayed F300, which means it cleared out all the codes. And then what you'd want to do is you would want to operate the machine, come back and check and see if any of those codes came back and in what occurrences, and that would give you a kind of a clearer scope of what's going on, especially if you had done this for the very first time. So anyway, when you're all done, you can just back out of it and just turn your key off, and that's it.